And I'm curious, how do you guys manage the withdrawal effects that some of these people may have to sugar, to salt? I mean, and maybe describe what some of these withdrawal effects might look like.
That's a good question. And it's the withdrawal effects are most uncomfortable the first 3 to 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
By day 5 or day 6, the people are pretty much fine. It's rare that it continues more than a week. And salt, when you're on a high salt diet and they go to such a low salt diet, because when you're on a high salt diet, the kidney gets good at excreting all the extra salt. And the problem is it loses a lot of other minerals in the process. And you lose minerals and salt through your sweat too.
Mm-hmm.
But when you accommodate long-term to a low salt diet, you stop excreting extra minerals and salt in your kidney. And your sweat doesn't secrete much salt, so you can run and sweat and play tennis and jog and not get cramping or electrolyte deficient. But in that short period of time, in the first 2 weeks, when people are switching from a high salt diet to a low salt diet, their kidney is still excreting a lot of salt. It hasn't curtailed that yet. It takes time to curtail that, and they temporarily could have a dip in sodium in their bloodstream and their blood pressure could get too low, and they could feel fatigue. So they could have enhanced fatigue in the first week or two, accompanied by, but the first few days they could be headachy and feel a little bit uncomfortable and agitated, and mostly, mostly if they're on a lot of caffeine, they could be withdrawing from their caffeine too, which takes a couple of days to get to feel better for them. We don't want people, occasional a little bit of caffeine in tea or something is okay, but we don't want people exposed to a lot of caffeine, because the withdrawal from caffeine makes people want to eat more food, because they use food as a means of negating the withdrawal from the caffeine. So we don't want them to confuse the two. And we want them to get in touch with true hunger, what it feels like to be hungry, so they can start to use hunger as a gauge as to how much calories to eat, to only eat when they're hungry and don't recreational eat when they're not hungry. And if they're withdrawing and they're eating to curtail the agitation, the stomach cramping, the headache, and the weakness from detoxification from your bad diet, then they're eating, then I call that detox hunger or toxic hunger. Then they have to continually eat all the time because they don't feel well. So we got to get them no longer dependent on food for maintaining their level of energy, because food isn't there. Because it's just a whole misnomer. The whole myth is that people think they have to eat to keep their energy up, and they don't. You feel fine. You don't need food for energy. You can live off your fat cells. You feel weak if you're toxic and you're detoxifying and you're not digesting food and you feel fatigued. And people so they constantly overeating because they feel wiped if they don't keep overeating calories. And we get rid of that the first week. And then over time, they really feel hunger in their lower part of their neck and upper part of their chest, in their neck and throat area. And they can start to differentiate the withdrawal symptoms from what real hunger feels like.